Don't fall off.
Hello and welcome to The Short Answer. It is my delight to be here, and it is always a pleasure to come together and begin to delve into some of life's most meaningful thoughts and principles. And I love that I get to share that with you and with all of you. It is an amazing gift in my life to be able to do this. And so I know that it is a gift in your life too, that you give to yourself, to take a moment and to sit and to contemplate what matters most. What is it that has deep meaning in my life, so that we can consciously begin to steward ourselves forward rather than operating by default, or the bumper cars process that we joke about in the coursework of bumping into this and then figuring out that's not what I want, and then turning and bumping into this and figuring out that's not what I want, and going down the path here and bumping against something else, and eventually creating an alignment that plugs us into the truth of our being. And there is something that is so profoundly present with me in the last many days, and seems to be growing in its presence in the recent days. And I want to share that with you in the short answer today. And I don't really know what I want to say about it, but I know that it is something that we're supposed to tap into in this conscious community that we are cultivating. Some of you I know are new to this community, and some of you have been plugged into this conversation for years. And I'm going to come to this conversation this evening from a place that I hope speaks to each of you. And it has to do with what is happening in our country. It has to do what is happening in consciousness, and certainly what is happening in the United States as the leaders of the free world that we are supposed to be, and how we are managing and not managing so well our freedom. And I'm not one to take political stances, and I'm certainly not leveraging any kind of position here at all, being that I have your attention. But I do want to say this, that what has happened recently in Orlando is completely unacceptable. And the only way that we can make a difference is if we do something profoundly beneficial because of it. If we think about what happened in our minds and in our hearts in the face of 9/11, many people saw it as a horrible moment in time. Many people saw it as something that has been devastating, and of course it has been those things. And it also, in the face of everything that it tore apart, it brought people together. I happened to be practicing a conscious practice in my life at that time about managing my internal experience regardless of my external circumstances. And at the time, I happened to be working with peace. I was working with peace. No matter what my external circumstances were, my job was to do peace on the inside. And I was a few weeks into that practice when 9/11 happened. And I went into work, and some of the team members were gathered around the television and watching what was happening. And just as I looked over, the second airplane hit the second tower, and that was what was happening. And my first thought was, how am I going to do peace in the face of this? Because this is certainly calling me to a completely different experience than what this internal practice was that I was attempting to cultivate. And I held to it. I was very steadfast in my practice in those days and weeks to come. In fact, sooner than airplanes were flying, actually, I was in a car driving to the location, and I was on one of the first airplanes that flew out of the area a few days later. And I went there and met up with a group of people who were interested in holding the vibration of peace in the face of such an amazing violation, or vibrational cacophony that was chaotic, to say the least. And what I saw through the days and weeks and months that followed was a unifying principle. Because of the lens that I was looking through, I saw people coming together. I saw that our country was invited to instantly, the moment that this was happening, go to what mattered most. What mattered most. My thoughts went to, where's my family? What's happening? Is this okay? What's going to happen in the next few moments, or in the next few hours, or in the next few days? And many of you are shaking your heads, yes, like, yes, I remember this moment. It was a pivotal moment in time, in our consciousness, that will allow me to prioritize. And there is a quickening that occurs in those moments. There is a quickening that occurs, and in that, we have an opportunity. And what I saw was our nation did that. We had a moment that we came to what matters most. And as a default mechanism, we do that. We, in the face of loss or in the face of crisis, we have a tendency then to evaluate what matters most. And the same thing is upon us again with Orlando. And it seems to have a particular slant to it, of course, because of it being in a gay nightclub and focusing on a specific subculture within our great country of freedom. And what I know is that we have an opportunity, even still, to determine what matters most, to use these moments in time to allow us to recognize that love has to land, love must win, that we cannot fight back, we cannot get angry, and we can't start pointing fingers at whose fault this is, whether it is someone from outside of our country coming in and doing the things that they do, or whether it is someone selling guns to people, or whether it is the myriad of other cultural things that could be blamed. What we have to do is take a higher context viewpoint if we ever want to see peace on the planet. I feel that we have to move out of duality and stop finger pointing and move to a place of ownership of our free will, of ownership of our ability to manage our responses, our ability to manage our internal experience regardless of the external circumstances that are occurring. And I have a very personal, heartfelt connection with what has happened with this particular subgroup of people. And I understand what it is like to not be heard, or to be understood, or to not be accepted in the various circumstances that I have been in my life. And I know that you have too, in one degree or another, in one way or another. That the ultimate thing that has to prevail is our ability to lead with love, our willingness to lead with love. So within the community that I speak to around the world, we have a concept that we reference as the bus stop conversation. And the bus stops to so many in circumstances like this, and in circumstances when trying to understand why their family members were taken in some kind of genocide, or in the concentration camps of years ago, when people are trying to make sense out of why do the things happen in this life that happen, the thing that I have turned to so often, and so many have turned to and given me feedback about how helpful it has been for them, has been this idea of a bus stop conversation, which has to do with soulful contracts. And the soulful contracts that I know that the 49 individuals had to be participating in, that were shot in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida, a couple of weeks ago. The soulful contract, the bus stop conversation, is one of the most high, in my opinion, because they were willing to contribute as a collective consciousness, as a stream of consciousness, to the raising of the masses, to a raising of our awareness of what matters most. That when let me just explain a little bit about the bus stop conversation for those of you that aren't familiar with it. It has to do with catching the bus on the way to planet Earth. It has to do with as you're coming in, you catch the bus to come here, and in doing so, you begin to strike up a conversation with others at the bus stop, asking them what are they going in for, what are they going to experience, what are they going to contribute to, what are they trying to evolve through, why are they taking a body and coming into the physical dimension and having this life. And so in that, the conversation goes back and forth between, well, I'm going to have a level 10 experience of forgiveness, or I'm going to have a level 10 experience of courage, or I'm going to have a level 10 experience of and the rest of the people at the bus stop say, well, how are you going to do that? This sounds fantastic. And your response is, if it's a level 10 of forgiveness, you're going to have to request something that's nearly unforgivable in order for you to recognize your ability to forgive at a deeper level than you have ever forgiven before. And so what I know is that these individuals were participating at the bus stop at a very high level. They wanted to contribute in some way, and that it was some sort of revealing of the human potential that was going to take place because of their contribution, the role that they were playing for us. So my question to you is, what will you make of it? What will you do with this? What will your response be? How will you allow their lives and their transition in an unexpected manner, seemingly, how will you let that matter to you? How will you have that contribute to the awakening of your own consciousness? Does it mean something as simple as fighting back? Does it mean something as elementary as contributing to the duality? I don't think so. I think that human consciousness is evolving to a place where it is time for us to say, we can respond in love, and that love can be strong. We can be firm, and we can be clear, and we can be sound, and we can also insist that anger not be harbored, that forgiveness be in the forefront of our intention, and that we can allow ourselves to unfold in an organic fashion that evolves our integration process, that evolves our own consciousness evolution. And so as we think about and pay tribute to those that have offered up their soulful contract, their bus stop conversation, to contributing to the raising of consciousness, then we can allow their lives to be deeply meaningful to us. So I'm going to ask you, what is it that you can do because of this circumstance? What is it that you can do? How might you embrace someone that you would not have embraced before? How might you allow an understanding to occur that might not have ever taken root, that might not have ever been birthed if you hadn't led the way with shedding some light on the possibility, the contribution, the awakening, the service that is being done by every challenge in the course of our lives? So I pose that to you. What will you do differently because of this? Or will it just be another circumstance that we shake our heads and say, I don't know what this country is coming to, or I don't know what the world is coming to, and what are the responses that we have had so far? What will we do with this? And I look forward to seeing how we evolve ourselves, and how we come to leading with love no matter what, and how we attribute the happenings in all of our lives to the evolution of our own awakening. It is time for us to do this, and it is time for us to stand together in love and in holding a vibration that is transformative for humanity. We are in a place that we can, and the invitation is upon us. So I'm going to allow us to move into the master class this evening with a deep consideration of of how to pose the questions of what matters most in our lives, and how to integrate that, and how to bring deep meaning to the circumstances that occur. I know that people have arrived here with questions, and that people have been writing in some questions, and people have been asking us to speak into these topics. And I look forward to delving into a very rich and meaningful conversation as we proceed into the master class this evening. So may this moment in the short answer lead you to things like living out loud. May it lead you to you understanding that there is no such thing as an unspeakable in your life. May it lead you to knowing that all things are approachable, that all conversation is medicine, that there is nothing to withhold, there is nothing to hide, there is nothing to protect, that to live now, live fully, live out loud as if time is on your side, and as if it didn't exist at all. You know, ultimately, what will happen is our lives will come to pass, and we will have lived fully, or we will have not. And I contend that these young individuals at the Pulse nightclub were living out loud. I would venture to guess that they were coming together and dancing in joy and having a delightful time being able to be themselves. And if nothing else, may we let that model for us how to live our lives, to live out loud, to allow nothing to be an unspeakable, to allow nothing to be hidden, to allow ourselves to be enough, to allow love to be what matters most, and to step in joy every moment that we can, to come together and to celebrate as if it were the last day that we might have. If nothing else, may it allow us to recognize that life is short when we look at it from this dualistic perspective. And as we elevate our perspective through the bus stop conversation and recognize that we are in fact eternal beings, and that we do have a curriculum while we are here, and to know that that curriculum will be played out in its deepest meaning and with its greatest facilitation if we live in joy and live in love and live fully. So some thoughts to ponder. How am I doing? How am I doing at living out loud? How am I doing at allowing my life to matter most, to be enough, to be accepted by myself in my own heart of hearts, and to share that with like minds in every way that I can. So let's open up to everyone around us and stand in great appreciation to those who have taken on very courageous bus stop conversations. I look forward to digging in with some deep meaning in the masterclass in just a few moments. So we'll see you then. Namaste.